To me, the number one most important upgrade that I have done to my AR rifle is this. This is the 15-inch free float Atlas R1 handguard from Aero Precision. And ergonomics are very important, but so is a way to attach things. So that's what today's video is about. I do love this rifle. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. As you can probably tell by the thumbnail and the title of the video, today we are discussing what I believe to be the most important upgrade that you can put on your AR-15. It was, in my opinion, the most important upgrade that I put on my Smith & Wesson rifle. And the one that I got on there is the Aero Precision Atlas R1 handguard. Atlas stands for Aero Taper Lock Attachment System. And I'll show you guys what that is. I'll discuss why I feel like a free-floated handguard is such a good idea for any AR-15. And why I think that the Aero Precision one is such a good one to choose. Before I do that, I want to thank every one of you guys that has subscribed, has left us a like, shared any of these videos, or commented. I do try to get to every one of those comments, and I appreciate every one of you guys. Today we are shooting the Smith & Wesson M&P 15. This is the Aero Precision Atlas R1 15-inch handguard. We're shooting Winchester M193 5.56. So this rifle is a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2. Sorry for giving you the finger. When you buy one of these, this one was the optics ready model. They do have a lot of different models, but basically the thing about the M&P is you get a very high value rifle. You get a really quality AR for not a lot of money, kind of like an entry level price point. But the reason for that is you get it with very basic furniture and features. So when I first got this rifle, it came with your standard, carbine plastic handguard, no heat shields, nothing. And that doesn't make for great ergonomics, and it leaves you with absolutely no feasible way to attach any kind of accessories to the rifle. So I remember the day that I was leaving the gun store with my first AR-15. I was pretty excited to go shoot my rifle. There was a guy there that obviously knew more about this stuff than I did at the time. And he told me that the first thing I needed to do was to get a good quad rail. And then I could start upgrading it from there. At the time, I wasn't even aware that I was going to be upgrading it. I just wanted an AR-15. Obviously, that changed. So anyway, I got home. I remember what he told me. I got on the internet and I started looking at quad rails and other things. And attachments and accessories and upgrades for your AR-15 can run you a lot of money. So I made the mistake of buying cheap quality parts that I later replaced with higher quality parts. So I do recommend the whole buy once, cry once kind of mentality. You're gonna save money by spending a little more money on quality components than you will by buying lower quality, cheap stuff that you can find, because once you realize what you really want, you're gonna end up replacing it with higher quality stuff anyway. Point being, the first thing I got for my AR was this UTG Pro drop-in handguard. It's a two-piece design that uses, you know, your standard delta ring attachment system. And part of the reason I went with that was the price. It was like $60 or something, I think. Part of it, you know, it did have the Picatinny rail that ran across the top. And so it wouldn't have a gap right here. I liked that about it. I liked that you could, you know, attach little rail pieces to add stuff. You can see I've got a Magpul angled foregrip on here. Used to have a cheap light on here, which I also replaced and don't use anymore. As well as some cheap sights, which I replaced and I don't use anymore. But you might be tempted when you get a rifle like this to do the drop-in handguard thing because it's easy. All you do, you have a tool like this. This is a delta ring tool. This goes in your mag well. This grips onto your delta ring, and you can use this to pull the thing, to pull it back. This is on a spring tension. And you can pull this handguard off and drop in something like this that sits behind your gas block. It's the easy way to go. It's the cheaper way to go. But maybe you'll be happy with it. I wasn't. So that was the thing, you know. Put this on. It was absolutely better than this, but still was lacking for what I really wanted. So as time went on, you know, I got better at shooting. I learned more about the platform, replaced a lot of other things on it, and then I decided, you know, despite having spent money on an upgraded handguard already, I wanted to get something that was actually decent. And I wanted something full length, 15 inch, and free floated. And there's a lot of options out there. And I'm even gonna leave a link for our Amazon affiliate program at the bottom. There's even quality options on Amazon for free floated handguards and for drop-in quad rails and other things. You can check that out after you watch the video. But I got this in my local gun shop. They sell a lot of Aero precision stuff for, you know, rifle and AR pistol, whatever builds. Aero Precision is a company that I have a lot of respect for. They do very high quality stuff. They're from my hometown of Tacoma, Washington. They make fantastic all around firearms, but they're also big into builds and they sell components. You can get, you know, M4E1 receiver sets are fantastic. I think that's what I'm going to probably use for my next build, or maybe an EPC 9 build. We'll see. But one of the things they do very good handguards. And so I went in there, I looked at what they got, and I got the 15-inch version of the Atlas R1. Now, this comes in 7-inch, 9, 12, and 15-inch. I specifically wanted the full-length version so that I could put a light all the way out on the end of it. And I could get, you know, a vertical foregrip pretty far out. I can C-clamp it all the way out here if I want to. There's a lot of advantages to having a full-length handguard. It is going to add a little bit more weight than something shorter, and you are going to have to change out your gas block if you do that. But to me, the pros far outweigh the cons. So, like I said, I think in the intro, Atlas stands for Aero Taper Lock Attachment System. And let's actually go close up and I'll show you what that means. So here's a close up of the Atlas R1 rail. As you can see, you've got M-lock on the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions, and Picatinny rail all the way across the top. The difference between the R1 and the S1 is that Picatinny rail. They also have a model called the S1 that has the rail cut out from about here to here. So you still get enough rail to mount a front sight, and a little bit of rail back here that continues on from your flat top upper receiver in case you want to mount an optic farther forward. But I specifically wanted the R1 with the Picatinny all the way across the top so that I could run a pressure pad for my light. I really like the ergonomics of having an angled foregrip with a pressure pad that I can actuate easily with my thumb in order to turn my light on and off. and, you know, again, with the front sight there. So this rail was a great option for me. It also has sling swivel slots at the 3, 6, and 9 right here. You can see that I use this one for my sling. It's a perfect mounting spot for it, in my opinion. Besides that, this rail just looks really good, and the fit and finish are fantastic. When I took it home, I was very, very impressed with the way it felt and the way it looked. It's just a good looking rail, and it feels great in your hand. It's very ergonomic, especially when compared with something like this or something like this. Now, the Atlas taper lock system is this right here. Now, when you get this rail, you're going to have to remove your original barrel nut and delta ring. And I don't know if you could tell by looking at that, I didn't have the correct tools, and that was a difficult job for me to do with a screwdriver and a hammer and a lot of swearing and pounding on it. I did get it done. And then you have to also remove your gas block, unless you already have a low profile gas block. So this is the Picatinny gas block that came on the optics ready Smith & Wesson rifle. So you're gonna have to knock some pins out of that, slide that off. You can reuse your gas tube, which is nice. After that, you know, you also have to remove your muzzle device, which I replaced later anyway. You're going to want to use a low profile gas block. If you can see that in there, that's also an Aero Precision gas block. That is their, their .750 gas block. And it's a lot easier to put on than it is to take off. But you still need to get a roll pin through that thing. And then you just need to make sure that it's tightened down well so that it's not going to come loose. Now this handguard is going to come with its own proprietary barrel nut. But no fear, they send you the wrench for that. So you just hook this onto your torque wrench, torque it down to, I believe it was 30 pounds per square inch or 30 inch-pounds, maybe 60, I can't remember. It was a little while back. But you torque it down with this, and then you kind of do want to time it correctly. If you can see there's a couple of angles on this, and there's also angles on that barrel nut that line up with that. When I did it the first time, I didn't line it up perfectly, and so my handguard wasn't perfectly straight on here. You're going to want to make sure your Picatinny lines up with the Picatinny on your receiver. Luckily, Aero includes some more than even tabs, but you know, the anti-rotation kind of stuff on here that lines up on your receiver, which is really nice because you know when that thing's tightened down, it's not going to rotate on you, twist, or give you any real problems. So once you've got that barrel nut on, your low profile gas block on, you slide your rail over it, and then they even give you the key for this and this taper lock system here. I'm not going to loosen it right now because I want to keep it tight and good. But basically the threads go either direction. Each one of these is a nut. And you're going to tighten that down, and they tighten up together onto that barrel nut. And it is very solid. This thing is not moving. It's not going anywhere. It is a super solid lockup. And that to me is one of the best parts about it. So let's go back up top and finish the rest of this video up. So that's how the taper lock system works. How you remove your old handguard and install this one. Now let me tell you why that's a good idea. For one thing, you get better accuracy out of the rifle. And I could literally tell that from the first time I took it to the range after replacing this. With a free-floated handguard, you get better barrel harmonics. Your barrel isn't touching anything like it is with a drop-in handguard, where any pressure that you put on it or brace it up against anything is actually putting pressure on the barrel itself, possibly changing your point of impact, but also affecting your barrel harmonics. Every time a round goes down through your barrel, there's harmonics involved. It's physics. It just is what it is. And if the barrel isn't touching anything, it gets better harmonics, better accuracy, and it's accuracy that, at least for me, I could tell the difference from day one. So that's a big pro to free floating your handguard. Another one to me is the fact that you can get your hand all the way out here. Now, with the carbine length handguard that comes on it, this is about how close you have to hold your rifle, and it's just not ergonomic. It doesn't feel good. You can't drive that rifle the way that you want to. If it doesn't feel like you have as much control over it. I'm not saying there aren't shooters out there that could probably shoot great with a standard carbine length handguard, but this just makes it easier. I feel like you have much more control over your rifle, and you can mount things like this vertical foregrip, which, I don't use it like a broomstick, more like a hand stop, but you can pull the rifle into your shoulder really well with that, which just gives you that much better control over your recoil and easier to drive the rifle from target to target the way that you want to, as well as being able to mount a light. Now, I love M-LOK. This is so slick and takes up such little space. See how close you can get your light into the rail there? This is an Olight, by the way, and I've been very happy with it. I've put a zillion rounds through this rifle, and this light works great. It's got 1250 lumens. We'll do a video on it, but it's a fantastic light. But that's the other pro of having something like this, is you can mount whatever you want on your rifle. Now, I'm not saying go out there and put so much crap on your rifle to make it tactical that you make it heavy and unwieldy and just stupid. But with something like this, you're able to mount the things that you want or feel like you need in order to make the rifle more usable for you. And I recommend it as, honestly, probably the most important upgrade to your rifle. When you get your first AR15, or any AR15 for that matter, you want an optic. Like, that's maybe really the most important thing. You can shoot with iron sights, for sure, but almost anyone is going to shoot better with a red dot or an LPVO. So get an optic. Get yourself a sling, also very important. But really, as far as upgrades go, this handguard, or any full-length free-floated handguard, is what is going to make the difference between your rifle being usable versus being something that you can really be effective with, in my opinion. All these are just my opinions. I also think a trigger is a very important upgrade. There's a lot of things that can really change the usability of your AR, but this handguard is what made the difference for my rifle. It's what took it from what I felt like was kind of a basic, entry tier rifle into something that I could use tactically if I wanted to. Hopefully won't ever need to, but it's nice to have a rifle that's going to do what you want, that feels the way you want it to feel, and shoots the way you want it to shoot, and also is able to attach the things you want to attach on it. And this handguard does that really well. I feel like Aero Precision, really, you can't go wrong with them. All of the parts that they make are very high quality, but they're also at a pretty decent price point. This handguard, it was less than 200 bucks. I do know that. Can't remember exactly what I paid for it. But, there's handguards out there that cost a lot more, $300-400. And, they have military contracts. They're great rails, don't get me wrong. But the difference between one of those and something like this is huge. But the difference between one of those and something like this, for the money, man, you can't go wrong with Aero Precision. And whether you want, the S1, which might be a little bit more ergonomic for you for like a C-clamp grip without this picatinny across the top, or the R1 where you can, put your pressure pad on it, or whatever else you feel like putting on top. They've also got rails that, are bigger. I think they call them their enhanced rails that will go right over your suppressor. They've just got a lot of really good options. But my main point here, free float your rail. You will not regret it. So I hope this video brought you some value if you're looking into starting to upgrade a rifle, or you're looking into getting started on building one. Aero Precision is a fantastic brand to go with. They make really good parts, And, you know, I'm using their rail and their low profile gas block on my rifle. And it was probably the most important upgrade to this M&P 15. So I highly recommend it. I would like you guys to please, if you can, check out the links in the description. We do have a Patreon that we're working on getting more and more content in there for you guys. I'd like to be able to bring you as much value as I can over there as well. But any help that you guys can bring to us is greatly appreciated. It's very expensive to make these videos. You got to constantly get new firearms, ammunition, all of that kind of stuff. We also have an Amazon affiliate account, and I'm going to have a link on there to some AR15 handguards. Amazon does sell a lot more firearm parts than you might realize, but you are going to have to kind of wade through some of the garbage that they have for sale to find the quality parts. Just warning you. But if you use that link, you don't even have to buy any gun parts. If you buy anything on Amazon after going through this link, we get a little kickback for the channel. Again, much appreciated. But if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Please like this video if you like this content and you felt like I brought you some value today. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of rail you are running. Are you a quad rail guy? Are you key mod, M-lock? I really like M-lock. I just feel like it's, you know, really nice and slim, easy to grip. That's my personal preference. I've got M-lock on both my ARs, obviously. And I'd love to hear what your opinions are. Anyway, from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.